Hi, I'm Ken Brown. Welcome to my garden, which is growing on the land of the Mississaugas of Scugog Islands. We can give you a bit of a tour here. The main reason you're here today is to see this one plant over to my left, which is a peony called America. She's throwing about 70 blooms this morning, each about 6 inches across. So many other things I grew up. I'm a member of the Peony Society, which you can see by my shirt here, but I also grow a tremendous number of iris. So you see this one right down here. This is a strange little character, different coloration in it. He's got a wonderful name. He's called Hot Dogs and Mustard. This is my Edo. This is the garden treasure down here who's just starting to bloom. She's not big and she's not spectacular because she just moved here about 2 or 3 years ago. The great bunch of string you see here is, if you look very carefully at the bottom, you see some little seedlings comes out. This thing will be covered with morning glories by the middle of the summer. This year, for some reason, we're having spectacular roses, and they're very early, probably 2 or 3 weeks early. Almost all the roses in my garden are David Austin roses, for those of you who are gardeners. Do we want to walk that way? Okay. Oh, you've got to go by the clematis as you go by here. I'm walking on my creeping thyme that I use for paths. This is the perfect time of year to see it because it's in full bloom. It takes all the traffic and the beat up. It does get a few weeds. You have to attend to it a bit. Paula Fay is another peony. It came out on Friday, and you can see it's almost finished already. It's been so hot the last few days, it's just not lasting. But this rose I'm really happy with. This is Olivia. Olivia was David Austin was the breeder of all these roses in England. Olivia was his granddaughter. He named this one after his granddaughter because that was his favorite. Over on this side, we have another lovely peony. This is called Alamode. I like it particularly because if you look at it carefully, you'll see a lot of flowers opening, but you see all kinds of side buds as well. So this thing stays in bloom for quite a period of time because once the center flowers die out, the side buds open up. This is my rose tree growing here. It's actually a Canadian bred thing, and because it's a Canadian one, it's hardy, so it stays alive even this far during the winter. A few more iris back through here, a few weeds. And this is another of the Edo Peonies. This is always late, partly because where it is, it's going to get a shade around here. But this is Cora Louise. These ugly things here on the way by are Cymbidium orchids. They summer out here and they winter and bloom inside in February. This is my pond system down through here. There are 3 ponds connected by rivers and waterfalls. If you get in the back garden, you see a lot more iris than you will peonies because that's what I do. There's a gorgeous one, the photographer there. Again, I don't know the name. I have a lot of trouble keeping track of the iris because there's probably 100 of them back here and they move around all the time and the labels don't always follow them. If you swing this camera down, we'll really diverse here because there's a little bit of bare dirt. You can see the asparagus growing in here. There's 2 big asparagus beds that we've been eating off for probably a month and a half now. And now they're full of weeds and the next job was to clean it back up again. But that's gardening. Another gorgeous bunch of iris growing here. I also grow a tremendous amount of vegetables. And you'll see, if you look here, I grow a lot of them in these sub-irrigation containers. A lot of early season vegetables growing here. This is Brussels sprouts. That's bok choy. That's cauliflower there. Behind it is some kohlrabi. The one in the center is cucumbers. That big trellis will sit on top of the cucumber box, and the cucumbers will grow up it at some point. My potato patch going down here. And people will ask me, why do you have those little things planted between the potatoes? Well, because they're not going to stay little. Those are actually okra, and they'll grow about 4 feet tall. And okra, if you don't know, we grow it for the fruit, of course, but it's a member of the hibiscus family, and has great big yellow hibiscus-like flowers on it. If you look carefully in this bed, we've got a rose and a peony and lots of iris, but most of these things won't be doing that much by midsummer, which is why there are 3 big squash plants in here. And this bed will get filled with these squash vines growing in between the iris and so on after the iris is finished blooming and by the time the peonies finish blooming. For those of you who are unfamiliar, if you see this ferny stuff here, that's what asparagus does all summer, because asparagus is a perennial, so that will grow up and fill this bed with all this big fern. That regenerates the root, so we get new shoots coming up for the asparagus next spring. This is the bottom pond down here. The pump is in this pond that pumps it back up to the top and goes around. Some more iris as we walk around here. I'm kind of fond of this one, and what I like about this one is the way the light plays off it. And no gardener would be happy in the spring if they didn't have rhubarb pie. So here's one of my clumps of rhubarb. This is one of my big hosta beds. It's got a fair number of weeds because I haven't got to there yet because all the planting gets done and then the weeding gets done. And you see these beautiful tall white alliums. They self-seed like crazy. So when they finish flowering, cut the seed heads off, or you have allium as a weed for the rest of your life. What I have in my hand is fish food, because there's lots of fish in here, and they're there and trained to feed like this, because whenever my grandchildren arrive, the first question is, Grandpa, can we feed the fish? Because when you feed the fish, they all come swimming to the top to eat it. So again, I'm Ken Brown, and this is my garden you've been touring on behalf of the Oshawa Peony Festival, by the way, and you'll see others. And we have to thank our sponsors, TD Canada Trust, who's sponsoring this whole video fair.